Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, a new peanut company is coming to Mississippi, while one already here is expanding its present facilities.
The chairman of the U.S. Senate Ag Committee declares the era of direct payments is over.
In southern gardening, big leaf hydrangeas. They can be pink or blue depending on the pH of your soil.
In the markets, the decrease in catfish processing slows down some, while India's future role in international cotton leaves traders up in the air.
In the feature segment, can't find any acreage to farm? Look up. That's what the Brooklyn Grange did in New York City.
It just seems to make sense to me to do something practical on top of rooftop spaces. We have all these empty roofs that have sun bearing down on them all day long. So it makes sense to do something with them that's productive.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
Peanut acreage is set to increase this year in North Mississippi, Southeast Arkansas, and Northeast Alabama.
Well, Leighton, there are plans to open peanut buying stations in Greenwood and Clarksdale, Mississippi, and Walnut Ridge, Arkansas. An existing one in Aberdeen, Mississippi, will be expanded. The work will be completed by early August in order to buy peanuts from this year's crop. The Clint Williams Company of Oklahoma is making its entrance into Mississippi by opening buying stations in Greenwood and Clarksdale. It's a subsidiary of the Texoma Peanut Company. The Greenwood Commonwealth newspaper reports the city of Greenwood and LaFleur County have agreed to sell 30 acres in their industrial park to the Clint Williams Company at a cost of $150,000. The two governmental entities will then build a warehouse and lease it to the company. There are no details yet on the Clarksdale arrangements. The Clint Williams Company says each buying station will hire 10 full-time employees and 20 to 25 seasonal workers. Birdsong Peanuts of Georgia has already begun a $3 million expansion of its existing buying station in Aberdeen, Mississippi. It will increase its capacity by a third. District Manager Brian Atkins of Birdsong said the company is working with Monroe County officials on the expansion. Atkins said Birdsong is also building a new buying station at Walnut Ridge, Arkansas, near Jonesboro. It is looking to establish another buying station in the Clarksdale-Tunica, Mississippi area. The entrance of the Clint Williams Company into Mississippi will increase to 3 the number of firms buying peanuts in the state. The Golden Peanut Company of Georgia buys peanuts in South Mississippi. Atkins said between Birdsong and Golden, they account for 70 to 80% of the U.S. shelled peanut market.
If there was doubt that the next farm bill would be radically different, U.S. Senate Ag Committee Chairman Debbie Stabenow has put that to rest. She did point out recently that the farm bill is worth its money because the nation's agricultural economy is a major employer. Market to Market's Mark Pearson reports.
Emphasizing that the era of direct farm payments is over, Senate Agriculture Committee Chairwoman Debbie Stabenow reiterated that the farm bill really is about jobs.
16 million people in this country have a job because of agriculture. I urge us to keep those 16 million people in mind today. The Farm Bill is a jobs bill, and no farmer in America should lose their job, lose their farm because of conditions beyond their control.
While the greatest amount of attention has been focused on payments to farmers, social programs actually account for more than 75% of the proposed $145 billion 2012 USDA budget. But in light of high commodity prices, questions are being raised whether the farm safety net should be eliminated. The Obama administration has already proposed eliminating direct payments to farmers, reducing the amount of funds allocated to crop insurance, and extending disaster and market volatility programs adopted in the 2008 Farm Bill. While some in Congress are proposing a complete elimination of the farm safety net, those who testified on Capitol Hill this week pushed for new ways to extend federal compensation to farmers in times of trouble.
Farmers want to make their living from the market, not from the government. We support policies that allow and encourage us to respond to market signals. We believe we provide our country and a growing world with an abundant supply of high-quality food, feed, fiber, and fuel at reasonable prices.
Representatives of the major commodity groups all proposed programs that included some kind of crop insurance component. Ideas range from the American Soybean Association's streamlined acre program with a single farm-level market trigger to the National Corn Growers Aggregate Risk Revenue Program, already proposed by a bipartisan group of lawmakers, including Senators Richard Lugar of Indiana and Dick Durbin of Illinois. And the American Farm Bureau favors a three-legged stool that includes crop insurance, a modified marketing loan program, and a catastrophic revenue loss protection plan.
While some take a simple view of the current agricultural economy and conclude farmers do not need a safety net, we all know that current market prices will not continue for some commodities. We all know that weather disasters will occur in some places. History proves this.
What shrub has big pom-pom-like flowers that can change color? In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension Horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman shows us how the big leaf hydrangea can be a flamboyant addition to our gardens.
Big leaf hydrangeas are flowering shrubs that are as much at home in an old-timey as well as modern landscape design. Today I'm with Sandra Schals at JDS Nursery taking a look at their big leaf hydrangeas for spring. Big leaf hydrangea, known botanically as Hydrangea macrophylla, is known for its mophead flowers. These are flowers resembling pom-poms, big and round and showy, and are fantastic as specimens in the landscape. They also perform well in containers on the patio or porch. Big leaf hydrangeas have flamboyant flower displays in the summer and fall. Sandra has forced these plants to show off their beautiful flowers in the early spring. These hydrangeas will perform best when planted in at least partial shade or filtered light from overhead trees. Consistent moisture is a must, but overwatering is to be avoided at all costs. Spread a good slow-release fertilizer around the plants at planting in March. Many gardeners have heard that you can change hydrangea flower color, and this is true for the big leaf hydrangea. Growers routinely manipulate the flower color of these plants. The color pink is a result of raising the pH of the potting media above 7 by adding 1 tablespoon of hydrated lime to the potting media. The color blue is the result of lowering the potting media pH below 6 using an aluminum sulfate solution at 1 tablespoon per gallon of water. But even with expert control, sometimes the flower color comes out a nice shade of blurple. If you would like more information about big leaf hydrangea, the Mississippi State University Extension publication, Hydrangeas for Mississippi Gardens, is available at www.msucares.com. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Gary says the big leaf hydrangea, as he says it, is a must-have plant for both old-fashioned and modern landscapes. In the feature segment today, rooftop farming is catching on in the New York City area. You'll see the world's largest rooftop farm and a hydroponic operation. Time now for the markets with Leighton, and he has a new snapshot of the catfish industry.
That is correct, Ernest. We'll be recapping the monthly processing report numbers from Tuesday afternoon. Also this week, cattle supplies on our nation's feedlots continue to expand. More early planting this year may boost corn yields as international cotton buyers scramble in the wake of India's move to ban exports earlier in the month. We begin at the pond bank, where there is no doubt plenty of water after the showers this week is around. U.S. processing, meanwhile, is only down 3% from a year ago, so production is picking up some apparently. These numbers are for the month of February 2012. The average pond bank price being paid to U.S. producers was $1.23 per pound. That is 22 cents higher than 1 year ago. Farm sales totaled 27 million pounds round weight, a decrease, as I said a moment ago, of 3% from February of 2011. Processor sales were just shy of 14.5 million pounds. That is down 7% from a year ago. Some cattle analysts are of the opinion feeder market prices have topped out. Supplies on feedlots continue to expand in the form of heavier cattle at slaughter. Analyst Sue Martin is one of those, believing this sector of the beef industry is softening up some.
I'm bearish on cattle, or I have been. I believe that the feeder cattle prices have hit their highs for the year, especially through August. I think that what we've seen is you're seeing way more feeders coming into the country from Canada. You're seeing imports of beef from Australia. And also this past week, we've seen, as of March 2nd, we've seen an increase for the first time since, December 2nd, of an increase over a year ago of imports of fat beef. So I think that we're going to see a market that still pushes lower. Feeders have hit their high. In the meantime, export sales were down 33% from a year ago.
Export sales are the subject of trivia this week, but not exports of cattle, exports of hogs. Here's our quiz question. What is the top destination for American pork? Is the answer Mexico, Japan, France, or Brazil? You'll find out here very soon.
We're going to pause for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar of the second part of the markets. Leighton Spann reports that the cotton supply could be tighter than expected. In the feature segment today, farming in New York City. This idea seemed impossible, but today you'll see the world's largest rooftop farm.
At Mississippi State University, Extension is reaching beyond the college campus and impacting adult education. We're instructing agricultural professionals on the latest trends in research and technology, inspiring communities, empowering small businesses, and promoting the growth of healthy families where youth and adults can reach their fullest potential.
The MSU Extension Service, sharing our vision for the future.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. The Alcorn State University Extension Service program will hold its 21st annual Small Farmers Conference next week, Monday through Wednesday, March 26th through the 28th. The location is the Natchez Convention Center in Natchez. Securing funding and adding value to ag products are among the many topics designed to help the small farmer. Registration is $50 per couple. Other fees vary according to whether you work for a public agency. Mississippi State University will hold 2 beef cattle boot camps in April. Among many things that you'll learn, you'll find out about developing heifers, feeding newborn calves, as well as purchasing bulk inputs and forward contracting. The first boot camp will be Friday, April 13th on MSU South Farm in Starkville. A week later, the beef cattle boot camp will move to the MSU White Sands unit at Poplarville. The hours at both of these are 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Go to Farm Week. It's a website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other upcoming events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
In corn, the trade is beginning the waiting process for the stocks and prospective planting numbers in a week. Planting activity and farmer selling reportedly has put some pressure on the corn market this week. Analysts like Don Rose say losses in corn have been limited by the soybean market and also by talk of more demand from China. But he thinks those forthcoming March 30th numbers will help tell the future for sure.
Probably the big issue that I think we have to be very concerned with is the March 30th stocks and all positions report, because we've had a very mild winter, and we think that the chance for a negative stocks in all positions March 30th is probably something that you have to be careful of. So, for right now, we're riding the coattails of tight farmer selling and the South America crop that is smaller, and that's been pushing us up to the upside. And also, we've had a terrific amount of fund buying.
The cotton market is also awaiting the supply and demand numbers at the end of the month. There is talk in some circles that foreign situations may create an artificially tight supply and strong demand towards the end of the season. I asked Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley about this on Thursday morning. John Michael, so back on March 5th, I believe India moved to ban exports of cotton out of there. Can you update us on where we are with that? That's pretty important.
Still seeing some disruptions to supplies coming out of India, and it is, having an impact on the market, but most of that news took place earlier in the month and has been priced into the market, and we're looking at other things going on across the U.S. and across the globe as it relates to cotton right now.
All right, as we record this on Thursday, a lot of showers in at least Mississippi here. How is this going to impact maybe planting decisions as we move forward here? Well,
I think the big acreage battle right now is taking place with some other crops, mainly corn and soybeans. Where the price of cotton has been heading over the past number of months has really already dictated, I think, in my personal opinion, what those acreages are going to be, especially in this state. But a lot of this rain has fallen in drought-stricken areas in the southwest, Texas and Oklahoma, West Texas mainly for cotton. And I think that's going to really have an impact on not so much acreage changes, but what the yields of those acres might be as we move into planting season. So that could definitely impact pricing here as we go forward. Yes, it's not very conducive to higher prices, but it is probably going to be a better deal for those producers in that area to get some rain on the ground. We're recording here Thursday morning as we sit. Weekly export sales numbers came out not too long ago. What kind of picture did that paint? A bright picture. They were exports for both the current marketing year and the next marketing year came in higher than expected. So already seen prices move a little higher this morning. But again, the dollar has been strengthening over the past number of weeks, and that has put some pressure on exports and on price. Cotton really looks heavily at the foreign exchange rates because we do export quite a bit of our crop, and the strengthening dollar hasn't helped, but this higher export number is good. And we'll close with March 30th upcoming, the prospective plantings. What do you expect out of that? Well, I think everybody's looking for somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 million acres, give or take, and I don't foresee that changing. As I mentioned earlier, Mississippi, we probably going to be right around that 500,000 mark if things continue to shape up like they have been. Closing out now in forestry products. U.S. lumber production in 2011, last year, was up over 7% from 2010. This according to the Western Wood Products Association. Production here in the South increased 8.7% in 2011 compared to 2010, according to that association's new report. We'll end as always with an answer for our trivia quiz, and here it is for you. B is the correct one. Japan is the top destination. Mexico is number 2.
We've had unusual farms on Farm Week before, mushroom farms, for example. Today, however, may be the most unusual yet. You'll go to New York City to the world's largest rooftop farm. You'll also see a rooftop hydroponic greenhouse operation there. These are serious efforts to introduce production agriculture into Gotham City. Market to Market's Laurel Bauer-Bergmeyer reports.
Ben Flanner is head farmer and co-founder of Brooklyn Grange Farm, a 40,000 square foot soil-based rooftop farm. That's 1 acre, located above a former manufacturing plant in Long Island City. Developed in 2010, Brooklyn Grange is considered to be the largest rooftop farm in the world.
It just seems to make sense to me to do something practical on top of rooftop spaces. We have all these empty roofs that have sun bearing down on them all day long. So it makes sense to do something with them that's productive.
Flanner and his team, which includes 4 other co-founders and scores of volunteers, farm the roof about 9 months out of the year. During the growing season, there are hundreds of thousands of plants on the roof. The crops are sold directly to the community at several weekly farm stands, as well as to local restaurants like Vesta, located in Queens.
For someone that comes from the country or someone that comes from the Midwest, that might be an everyday thing. But for someone that grows up in the 5 boroughs of New York City, that's something you've never seen besides maybe your neighbor who has 2 tomatoes planted. And I mean, the taste is just on a level that we would never be able to appreciate if you didn't have something like that, because the supermarket tomato or the supermarket green doesn't taste like what Ben Flanner or the Brooklyn Grange is doing for you.
Giuseppe Falco co-owns Vesta and says having a relationship with Brooklyn Grange has allowed him to make local ingredients a mainstay on his menu.
We're very, very flexible about the items we take from Brooklyn Grange. So for the most part, we'll usually get a phone call once a week, and it'll be like, look, this is what's going to happen on Tuesday, and this is what's going to happen on Wednesday. And we'll kind of cater our menu to that. The fun aspect is being able to tell the farmer, hey, I really like this type of carrot. Can you grow it for me?
In its first year of business, Brooklyn Grange sold 14,000 pounds of produce to local restaurants and farmers markets. It managed to cover its operating costs while making a small profit.
It's not easy to put together such a plan such as this. It takes a lot of dedication and time, and you have to be in it 110% full time. But it's possible. Anybody can do it, and I think the biggest component of it is convincing the landlord that it's worth the risk and that there is a low risk. If somebody owns a big expensive building in New York City, it's a big deal. There's a lot of insurance risks and everything, and the core components, just like a lot of different things, are having a great relationship and trust, and then finding the right people that are willing to take a little bit of a leap with you.
Brooklyn Grange has a 10-year lease with Acumen Capital Partners. The crops are grown in roughly 1.2 million pounds of soil on top of more than 20,000 linear feet of green roofing material. The farm is financed through a combination of private funds, loans, and grassroots money-raising events.
I think a lot of people are excited about having food that's grown so close to their homes and picked so close in time to the point where they eat it and purchase it. So there's a lot of positive response from the community.
Another New York-based company is also part of the rooftop farming revolution. Instead of using dirt, however, Bright Farms LLC grows its produce in a less traditional way using hydroponics, or the growing of plants without soil. Benjamin Lindsley is the Vice President of Business Development and Public Affairs for Bright Farms.
Bright Farm Systems is a design and engineering firm, and we focus on one particular idea, and that is rooftop hydroponic greenhouses in urban areas for urban food production.
In the fall of 2010, Bright Farms was commissioned to design an environmental education center and local food production facility on the roof of the Manhattan School for Children on the Upper West Side.
It's an education facility, so there will be food produced here. It will be using hydroponic technology, and the food will be going into the school's cafeteria for the students.
Lindsley says Bright Farms focuses on delivery of the best quality fruits and vegetables, grown with the smallest possible environmental impact. He claims hydroponic farms use 90% less water than traditional methods by capturing rainfall from the roof and recirculating it. Some greenhouses are heavy emitters of carbon dioxide gases because of the energy needed to heat in the winter and cool in the summer. Bright Farms is able to greatly reduce fossil fuel use by utilizing solar panels and ventilation systems. He also points out, since soil is not used in hydroponic farming, the method is lightweight, making it ideal for a rooftop setting. And Lindsley adds some of Bright Farms' climate-controlled greenhouses are capable of producing 250 tons of food per year.
From a commercial perspective, there's a real advantage in being able to be a farmer that grows 365 days of the year. It's an extremely high-yield form of agriculture. It produces a very, very high-quality vegetable, and it's very, very efficient on resources.
While using different methods, both Bright Farms and Brooklyn Grange would agree, growing food in the city is good for the environment and good for people. Studies suggest there could be enough rooftop space in New York City to grow all of the fresh vegetables needed for the nearly 19 million residents.
I think that sometimes in life we get away from the things that come natural, and it's funny, but I grew up in a European household where it was completely natural to walk down the street to pick up vegetables and to pick up meat. And I think we've gotten slightly away from it in the past, 20 or 30 years. And I think that now we're finally starting to realize that that's the way that things should be. It should be that you have some sort of relationship with the person that's growing something for you. And I think that we're finally getting back to that.
Do you get some basil? Okay, that's good.
For Market to Market, I'm Laurel Bauer-Bergmeyer.
And you can watch this story again on the Brooklyn Grange on our Farm Week website. That's farmweek.msucares.com. You can also watch Farm Week stories on YouTube, and we have a Facebook page. We'll also have a link to the Market to Market website where you can see the story again and also read the script. There will be links to the Grange's website and Facebook page. That's farmweek.msucares.com. Now, Leighton, this story aired originally late summer last year, talking about last year's crop. Well, this year the Brooklyn Grange is going to more than double its rooftop area. It's going to have a 45,000 square foot rooftop farm at the old Brooklyn Navy Yard. The Grange is starting an urban apiary, or bee yard, in New York City. And it's also joining some other partners in opening up a spring-only temporary store that will sell gardening and farming supplies to others who want to start rooftop operations. So I think one reason it's happened too, though, is people want that connection to the land, and growing something does that.
Certainly.
Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our show next week, the Magnolia Honey Company.
You'll travel to Southwest Mississippi, where 3 women have started a gourmet food business. It's getting national notice for its products, all sweetened with honey.
The Mississippi Women in Agriculture Group is working to equip women with skills to be ag entrepreneurs.
In southern gardening, the Cineri pericalis. This plant brings all sorts of different blooms to the home landscape, and it does it in cool weather.
For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.